Everyone, welcome to the daily chill news Sunday, or 24 or 365 days a year. We even did one on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Today's financial news really has to be about the market. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you will know that I am not a stock guy, at least in my current configuration. Right, I'm real estate, cash, maybe a little precious metals, but certainly no no stocks because there's just too many risk factors. I don't have enough time to watch them all, right? There is market risk, kind of segment risk, and company risk. And I learned over the years, given my full time job, family responsibilities, and all of that, that I just could not watch them all. And thus, got emotionally involved, bought at the wrong time, sold at the wrong time, and just a horrible, horrible stock picker. But today's daily financial news really starts with market risk, right? I think it was, what was it, late Thursday, early Friday, our time. There was I don't know, a strike on a bad guy in the Middle East, and that has caused some angst and turmoil and some pretty harsh rhetoric on both sides. And of course, that market risk typically translate into selling of stocks, right? You sell because you're afraid. I actually didn't think Friday's down day. I think it was just over 200, maybe like 230, something like that. This morning's, I don't know, 150 last check really isn't all that bad in the grand scheme of things. We are at record highs. There are probably lots of people that carried gains into 2020 that were looking to get out. So the small decreases we've had the last couple of days really don't shouldn't make you afraid. I don't think. That said, it could very easily get worse. It could easily pile up. And again, if you were carrying gains into 2020 and looking for a reason to sell, when you have market risk that you didn't see coming, that frankly very few people, if any, saw coming, that's often a time to run to the exits. And if we're down, 500 points by the end of the week, it certainly could happen. When I look at events like that, and we've had lots of those over my adult, investing years, I look at kind of three factors. First, I look at oil. That's the most obvious, right? It's a very large oil producing area. They can shut down the Strait of Hormuz, I think it's called. I may be mispronouncing that, but basically, it's a big transportation hub where tankers come in and out to either load or to load and transport out oil. Certainly could be shut down for days, if not weeks. And so I think oil goes up. I think it went up that Friday. It's probably up today as well. I didn't check. But those are typically short lived, in my opinion, because oil is such a necessity for the world. It is a necessity for their economy to sell this commodity and support their citizens. So oil will be certainly be up. It certainly could get worse before it gets better, right? If they really wanted to create turmoil, they just shut down that waterway as best they could, and that would cause a international reaction. The other thing I watch is gold. Gold is one of those indicators that when people get afraid, at least in my experience, they turn to, right? When people are really afraid, they kind of get out of everything they can except gold, right? So they get out of dollar, they get out of stocks, they take money out of savings accounts. It's just something that happens, kind of at the same trade as oil. But the third one is what I watch. I watch interest rates because again, I'm a real estate guy. I want to understand cost of money because cost of money goes to purchase price, mortgage payments, all of that. So interest rates typically lag. They will uptick a little bit, the 10-year, 2-year, all of that, but it will impact the mortgage only slightly in the near term. But what we need to watch for is, do people start getting scared? And when consumers get scared, they stop putting offers in on houses. Days on market extends, and then things get interesting, right? Could this singular event, cause a series of other events that ultimately impacts consumers? Absolutely could. Absolutely, it could. Is it likely? I hope not. I hope not. But it certainly could go that way, and that's what I will be watching is, the first thing I'll be watching for is what's the retaliation because there will be one, right? I can't imagine them not trying to do something, and likely probably several somethings, as I think we talked about on Friday. It could be more drone strikes on oil infrastructure. It could be cyber attacks. It could be any number of things, but there will be something, and it'll be interesting to see, does it ever ripple through to the American consumer, right? And also, does it impact the global economy? Because again, we were just coming out of a rough Q4. If you look at the numbers, right, manufacturing was down, global consumption was down because of the trade war and like. So it will be interesting to see what, if anything, this has effect on the global trade. So again, there will be short-term impacts, oil, gold being the most obvious. Then there will be the ones I watch, kind of interest rates and consumer behavior, right? Are they afraid? So far, um, you're not really seeing any of that, at least in the US. Could it happen? Absolutely. If there's some kind of event or tragedy that that happens, it could. But let's cross our fingers and hope this is just rhetoric and nothing transpires. A couple other things that caught my interest today. Did you see the sale and leaseback done by Bed and Bath? Right? Yeah, Bed and Bath. If you don't know, this is pretty popular. Lots of retailers have done this over the years. Sears being one that did it probably a decade ago when they bought Kmart. But basically, they sold off a 2.1 million square feet of real estate they owned, and then did a leaseback. And that netted them $250 million. The CEO talked about unlocking quote unquote valuable capital. It's interesting. I wonder what they're going to do with $250 million. They have a lot less assets now. Um, one might argue their business model is kind of broken, right? They're servicing a niche that is being dominated by Amazon and others. So it'll be interesting what they do. Will they diversify? Will they invest in technology? What's going on? Because they have less options now. This $250 million could be blown in a year, um, but we shall see, right? Are they going to do stock buybacks? Are they going to go private? I mean, who knows what could happen? I would be nervous if I was a Bed Bath investor because you just don't know what's going on. Then the another metric I saw, Q4, Ford Motors reported a drop of 1.3%. I think this is interesting. We'll have to watch the other auto manufacturers because, again, we've seen statistics at the macro that say manufacturing was very weak in Q4. I think it was like 47, the worst since 2009. I think we talked about that on Friday. So it will be interesting to see if it was more of a Ford only or is it all car manufacturers because there's a fair amount of manufacturing that goes on in the Midwest around these auto manufacturers, and if it's all slowing, I just wonder what that means. And again, we've reported on this channel some just weird lending behavior that's happening in the autos. I remember one case where somebody took out a $48,000 loan on a $29,000 car because they traded in a car that also was worth more than it was, you owed more than it was worth. To me, it kind of sounds like all these stupid housing loans we did in 2009 or 2005 and 6 that blew up in 2009, but we shall see. And then lastly, um, in the Bay Area, I don't know, I saw this. It says billionaires shop at Costco. I don't know if you saw this, but there was apparently a picture in the news about Mark Zuckerberg shopping at Costco looking at TVs. And the whole article is like, look, he's the everyman. Well, based on the picture and the lack that nobody else was in the view, I'm guessing they shut down the whole store for him. Or he came in early. It's possible they came in early. So yeah, I think our Costco opens at 9, I think. So it's possible they arranged a, hey, get in at 8, shop with no one around. Totally possible. But I'm fairly certain there were not very many, if any, other shoppers other than maybe his security with him. So that's interesting. Just of note, because he lives probably 5 miles, maybe 10 miles from where I am. I've also seen pictures of him shopping at my local Ranch 99, which is an Asian grocery store. Um, his wife is obviously Asian. So it's been funny to see iPhone pictures of him shopping at Ranch 99 from people taking his picture. So just kind of fun. So in the end, um, I think we're in for it for a couple of weeks, right? This Middle East turmoil has already had impact on oil and gold. I don't think it's done. I think there is going to be a reaction. I will be watching interest rates and consumer behavior, which are farther longer tails. But as a real estate investor, that's really what I'm interested in. Could oil impact housing? Sure, in a large stance because it's in a lot of building material, but not really. And then could gold impact real estate? Not really. So I'll be watching interest rates and consumer behavior. Bed and Bath proves that real estate has value. They just raised $250 million via a sale and leaseback. And then, of course, we'll be watching the manufacturers. Ford just reported 1.3% drop. So today's going to be a good day. I am going to be having a couple of interviews, and I'm also very excited to say I'm going to create another playlist called Landlord Stories. I've seen a lot of, or at least a few other channels talking about the life of a landlord, so I thought I would share some of our stories. So look for that sometime later today. Have a great day. We will do our daily financial news tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified when I start. Take care.